I'm just saying, hey man, the general is this. How am I supposed to get you to that when it's 3 times what the multiple is for the industry? Now they might say, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that, or, well, that's what I have to have. Well, that's what I have to have. Then it's like, it's totally how am I supposed to do that? And you didn't have to refer to any external thing at all. And maybe they're not a motivated seller, or it's not a deal right now and it becomes pipeline. Or maybe you say, like I frequently do, look, if you can get that, absolutely, you should go do it. I don't know how anybody's going to do it and make it work, but sometimes people do crazy things. I hope it works for you. If and when it doesn't, come see me. Now, then they come back with a more realistic expectation.
Hey, hi, Roland. So just before I ask my question, and I think it's an easy one for you, but I just want to help make the point I think Dochi was making 2 minutes ago about the 80%. If the seller has already offered 80% based on the 900, they've effectively offered more financing, and so you don't need to necessarily adjust the 80% to the 650 if they've effectively already offered that. And I think that's a point that I've heard you make before too.
Yes.
Not just that you need to adjust for their salaries, but also that they've effectively offered more financing in that case. So
yeah, they've offered more financing on a higher price. Yeah, exactly. So yes,
right.
that is a good point.
And so my question is two-part question. I think it'll be easy for you, but just what are your favorite sources for EBITDA? I know there's any number out there, but what are your favorites to use? And then do you think that because I want to do a deep dive into them before I really get into the deeper the negotiations. Do you think that that's a useful method, I guess, for, I don't know, mitigating I'd say I'm not a natural salesman, not to be self-limiting, but to try to mitigate that, just these are facts, about market conditions. Do you think that's a useful way to help sort of backstop those negotiations?
I think that referring to standards without showing anything is the best way to do it. The first thing to me is I always think about lines of approach, and then what are my fallback positions? So what's my ideal? And then what are my fallbacks if my ideal, faces opposition? So my ideal is that I pay what I want to pay, which is a fair price, but it's going to be on the lower end of the fair price. So let's say that what I want to pay is 2. Then I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to say, what do you want for this business? And if they give me a number that is 2 or less, then I don't need to refer to any outside thing. And we just go forward and I get them what they want. And I, might even give them more if they come in way too low. Right. And then I'm super awesome. The second thing would be that what they want is crazy, outrageous, unreasonable. And it sometimes is, in which case I use the Chris Voss method of, oh man, how am I supposed to do that? Companies like this typically sell for about 2. Now, I'm not referring to, according to the Stern School of Business study conducted 5 months ago with a study of a sample size of this much, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, hey man, the general is this. How am I supposed to get you to that when it's 3 times what the multiple is for the industry? Now they might say, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that, or, well, that's what I have to have. Well, that's what I have to have. Then it's like, it's totally how am I supposed to do that? And you didn't have to refer to any external thing at all. And maybe they're not a motivated seller, or it's not a deal right now and it becomes pipeline. Or maybe you say, like I frequently do, look, if you can get that, absolutely, you should go do it. I don't know how anybody's going to do it and make it work, but sometimes people do crazy things. I hope it works for you. If and when it doesn't, come see me. Now, then they come back with a more realistic expectation. The other thing in the middle would be that they say, no, I can't, 2's too low. I think I've been seeing that, my uncle's sister's cousin's nephew went to business operation broker school, and she says that I can get a 5X, and you're telling me it's a 2. Now, then if you feel like it, you can say, well, look, if you Google multiples in this industry, you'll see that they typically are this. Or you could produce one of the sheets that we have that is the study from BVR. I like the BVR study, the Business Valuation Resources study, that shows that pretty much any owner-operated business is right somewhere between a 2 and a 3. And they're all in the 2s, but they're all, between that. And the average, I think, is 2.4 or 2.2 or something like that right now. I'd have to check. But without referring to any specific thing and quoting it would be my next thing. And then if they're like, I don't believe you, you're a lying sack of son of a, you're a former attorney who could trust you. Like, oh, okay, well, here's a copy of it. Let me send that to you. And that's, but I really think if you're at that point, you're not on the right side of them being a motivated seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it kind of echoes what you just said about, not having a presentation as well, too. It's like a similar point. You don't want to beat them with some formal, some recent study or some presentation.
It's less collaborative when you have to go, no, look, see, it's that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Roland, how are you?
I love hearing that. How can we help?
So I'm in due diligence. I have the LOI, so we're good there. I just had a conversation with the on-site operator. She's the patient care manager, but really she runs the whole office, the owner's hands off. And my question is, she loved, it's a wellness weight loss clinic, and she lost 65 pounds and went through the program, and she loved the people in the process so much. She essentially hounded the owner until she got a job. So she is all in, and she told me on the call, she is there until the walls fall down, basically. And my question is, I think she is a perfect candidate to, because it's 90% owner finance, 10% down. I think she's a perfect candidate to get as a operator buy-in.
Yeah.
Cover the 10%.
Yeah.
But my question is, and Christopher wanted me to ask you, was around timing. Obviously, I didn't want to broach it on this call. Would it be best to do it during sometime maybe the LOI during the end part, or after it's kind of closed, but when we're in the transition window? I'm not sure timing wise.
What would happen if she doesn't come on board with you? Are you still good?
I've got the cash to cover it, and I think
no, I don't mean in cash, because she sounds like she's your operator potentially.
Oh yeah,
right. Is she going to stay there either way?
Oh yeah, no, she's staying.
So I'm asking that because I want to know how, what happens if doesn't work out that she comes in. So what I would do is I would get the contract signed. Your letter of intent is not a binding thing. It's basically, hey, we won't shop the deal, and these are the ideas of the terms we're going to have, but now we're going to get to a contract. Mm-hmm. When you get to the contract and you've got basically the actual offer that is accepted, the binding side of it, then I would have a conversation with her about that. I don't think I would have it till then unless I needed her to be part of the deal. If I don't need her to be part of the deal, I want to get my deal done so I know what I've got to work with. Then I'm going to have a conversation with her. She's already said she's into the walls fall down and all that. So then you can go to her and say, how would you like to have the opportunity to be an owner with me? Because I'm going to buy, I've got the deal already done to buy the place. And then whatever deal you want to offer her, you can offer her. You also don't risk her accidentally or intentionally messing up the deal that you've got, because it's like, I never even knew that I could buy the place, or, you're paying not enough for it. And, just like all that is potential interference and friction that you don't have to risk. Even if you think she's the best person in the world, you just never know. Money makes people crazy. I would wait till I had my deal signed off on for sure, even if you still can get out of it in due diligence. But I'd want to know I had a binding deal with the seller. Then I have my conversation with her and, see if that's something that we can work out.
Yeah, this smart guy came up with this idea of a deferred down payment. So I'm pretty sure I can work that in.
That's amazing. I love the sound of that.
You probably hadn't heard of that before, so feel free to quote me.
I am going to look into that. Thank you.
All right.